Well, hi there, guys. Welcome back to Old Tavern Farm. I'm Lee Sharon, and I have been MIA for the past couple of weeks. It has been flat out crazy around here for the past 2 weeks. I have a little tiny bakery business. I make cookies for neighbors and things like that, and I have just been really busy with that. My husband's been out of town. We have just been building things and getting ready for winter. We have to move the pigs from the back paddock out there into the garden, which is behind the barn here. This is our barn. And it's just been insane. We've been trying to source some new shelters for the pigs. As I said in one of my previous videos, we're going to have to put some equipment investment into livestock shelters. We've gotten, the new bull calf, and he's been working out great. Things are wonderful, but getting ready for winter is a real serious job, as I'm sure a lot of you, at least northern homesteaders, understand. But I thought I would just, in the course of all the shorts I've been making, I have been sort of thinking about how I would recommend certain things for a small homestead. We've been doing this at some capacity for more than 10 years, but we've now sort of gotten to the point where the homestead is actually starting to pay for itself with crop sales and livestock sales and timber sales and things like that. It's by no means paying for itself at all. It's helping pay for itself. But I thought I would do a quick video to recommend some things that if you're starting out homesteading, or you're planning to homestead, or even if you are homesteading, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are too. What are your top 3 must-haves for a smooth operating homestead? Especially in where we are, which is at the southern tier of the Adirondack Mountains in New York State. And we have real seasons here. It's actually gotten really cold lately. We're already getting wood into the garage and that type of thing. And we've burned a few nights to sort of just take the chill off the house because, as you know, we're a 200 and almost 20-year-old colonial building that started out as a tavern. And it doesn't have any insulation in it. It's actually a style of architecture called a plank house, which is basically a plank. It's a post and beam building, big square timbers. I don't know if you can see up here. I'll try to cut away to the barn was built at the same time as the house. And the beams are massive, basically hand-hewn tree trunks, more or less. And then they just would put a plank against the beam and just call it a house. I don't know. Anyway, it can get chilly, but it's got lots of windows. So we get lots of sunlight, etc., which is another good tip for all you homesteaders, especially building from scratch. Put in a lot of windows because that natural light helps heat the house, so you don't have to run your oil or electric heat. Unless it gets really brutally cold, which we do have to run our oil heat is what we have, baseboard radiators. And but we are trying, especially these days, to stay off of those sort of man-made sources of heat and just stick with our timber from our forest. And I've got lots of content coming up on that. We've been cutting firewood for about the last month or so, and I've got some cool video on that coming up. But this is fresh in my mind, and that's just how I operate. I don't write a script or anything like that. That's why I just ramble so much. I know you guys appreciate that as you're like skipping forward. I do it too, so no judgment. So, on that note, why don't we go and look at one of the first things of the top 3 must-haves. I keep doing that. For a smoothly operating small homestead. Okay, so the first must-have for a smoothly operating homestead is this. This is a surface groundwater well. So we have our own independent source of water. It's actually very abundant. In fact, the man who dug this well for us said that we could probably supply most of the water needs for the entire village, which is about 300 houses, or residents at least. So as you can see, right here is a creek. And this creek is fed from a spring that actually sources right about here. So this well taps into that big water source under the ground as a water spring, and we have actually really good quality water. So so that's the first thing I recommend is you guys either there's some systems that you can actually sort of punch a pipe down into the ground and make your own hand pump of water source. But this is as I said, a surface water well. It goes down about 20 feet maybe, I'm not sure, but it is not the third option, which is a drilled well, which basically you get a company to come in. They drill down really deep. It can be hundreds of feet sometimes, depending on where you are. And then they pump the water up from that deep drill pipe. But this is what we have. So we have our own sort of free water system. We did have to pay. This costs about $3,000 for the system to be drilled and then piped, and I'll show you that in a minute. The excavation work was about $3,000, and then he also ran the pipes and the electricity conduit to the barn over there, and I'll show you where that goes from that system, how we operate it from there. Okay, so we're coming into the barn from the area where the well was, and this is sort of a room that my husband constructed to house and insulate the pump system, which is this. We do have to run electricity here. I'd love to be off grid. Maybe someday we will be, but that's not a priority for us right now. But this is a system that's run by electricity, and all the workings, I'm sorry for the lighting, we don't have enough light in here, it pressurizes the water and just regulates everything, and it has to be protected from the cold, so we have it insulated. And we have to check every year to make sure there's no leaks, because we can get into the negative double digits here, and so that has to be protected. But that's where the hose connects here, and so we have a hose that just connects there to the water pump and is regulated by that little red spigot there, just like your regular garden spigot. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would recommend. You guys find your own source of water that you can fall back on. We use this for all our barn needs, all our livestock feeding, livestock watering. And as you can see in some of my videos, I do actually use this water for some of my preservations and fermenting and things like that. So it's wonderful. The only cost to that is the installation and the electricity to run it. Okay, so that's the first thing, and let's go to the second thing. Okay, the second thing I recommend for a must-have for smoothly operating homestead is a utility vehicle of some kind. And I don't mean one of these flash racing jobbies. I mean something with low gears, four-wheel drive options, not turf tires. These are like ag tires. We've had this unit since 2012, I think. So 10 years we've had this. It's long since paid off, and it is a workhorse. It fits in our barn, so we can go in and out of the barn fits obviously in the garage here, but it's got and when I say utility vehicle, this actually has a dump bed, so we can, I've gotten firewood with it. It does have a winch that got broken last night, but it's easily repairable. I just need to get a little part for it. So this is a dump bed. I use it to clean out the livestock stalls, and it is got a winch on the front, which I also recommend as part of this second must-have. A winch is absolutely essential on a working homestead. It just saves you it's saved us so many times, from pulling branches out of thickets to pulling full trees to the side so they fall in the right place. I can't even tell you how many times we've used this winch to tow the tractor out of the mud. So, and we also have upgraded it with really bright lights, because a lot of the time of the year we're doing chores and such in the pitch dark, because we can get dark as early as almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is something I definitely recommend, is a utility vehicle like this. Okay, so let's go to the third thing. So the third thing that I recommend as a must-have for a smoothly functioning homestead is a wood stove. And when I say wood stove, I mean a stove that burns wood. A stove that burns logs that you can cut yourself out of the woods. There's also pellet stoves. People love them too, but you have to buy them and you have to have them delivered. So to me, that is a reliance on an outside source that isn't technically necessary. These wood stoves are widely available. This is a Vermont castings stove. I can't remember the name of it. Intrepid. I think it was Intrepid. And it was expensive. It was $19.99. It was almost $2,000, but it basically I can just put a small fire in it on chilly days like today, just to keep, this is our den where we have our computer and our TV and our chairs. And we stay in this room a lot in the winter, because there's 2 doors, we can close them off and we don't have to heat the entire house. But this is one thing I think is absolutely essential, is to source your own heat. Do not rely on fossil fuels or electricity or any other kind of man-supplied heat source. Get your own system and have your own system operating for you, so you don't have to rely on those outside sources, because it's 100% possible. This house was built way before electricity, way before fossil fuels. You know, it was heated with wood and coal. And I take huge comfort in that, because these people lived in this house for hundreds of years without those outside sources, and they were self-sustaining on their own. I want to actually show you my our other source of heat. This is our main wood stove. This is a real workhorse. This was here when we moved in. It's an old style wood burner. It's called a Better Than Ben's, and they're out there and around, but they are not made anymore. And I can show you, it's very deep and narrow. It's not wide and shallow like the Vermont casting stove in the other room. But you can find these, and you can find used wood stoves. It's just basically a metal box with a flue in it, and it's very simple. I actually prefer this one for real long-lasting heat. We can damp this one down overnight, and then all I have to do in the morning is open the door and throw a stick of wood in there and get it going again. So basically from November until March, this stove just stays burning. And that's how we heat our house. We do have, as you can see in the back over there, we do have a radiant baseboard system that operates off of oil. We do have to put that on from like December until March. but we keep it at 57 degrees. That's about as low as we can keep it and not have any pipes protest, let's say. So that is my advice about what you guys can plan for to make a really smooth operating homestead that isn't expensive. All these things can be found at auctions or on free cycle sites or Craigslist or junk shops or anything like that. It just requires some planning ahead and budgeting and really staying true to your goals and what you want for your personal systems. So that's my totally unglamorous video on what I find to be the top 3 most essential must-haves on a smoothly operating homestead. Thanks you guys so much for visiting. I appreciate you all so much, all you newcomers, all you old-timers. Big hugs, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.